Hello, my name is Marilyn and I'm a Tunisian Jew. I was born in Tunisia, and today I'm going to cook for you a traditional dish that's called Camounia. Camounia is a kind of chili con carne that Jews from Tunisia cook for Shabbat. The Camounia I'm making today is Mamie Chloe's Camounia. Mamie Chloe is my mother, and she taught me how to make this traditional Jewish recipe. And the first ingredient I'm going to use is regular oil. So we have about a third of a cup of oil. We have 2 cans of regular tomato sauce, 1 teaspoon of paprika, 3 teaspoons of cumin, and 3 teaspoons of garlic, half a teaspoon of harissa, and this is about a teaspoon of salt. We're going to mix all the ingredients together and let it simmer for about 5 to 10 minutes. For me, cooking for Shabbat and keeping the tradition is extremely important. It's something that passes on from generation to generation. It's something that my great-grandparents taught to my grandparents, who taught them to my mother. And my mother and my father at home, we always celebrated Shabbat. Even if we were not the most religious or practicing Jews, we always had a Shabbat dinner and always had a family gathering. What's very important to remember is that when you cook all those traditional dishes, there's a lot of differences between families. And one family may use 3 spoons of cumin and one may use 4 spoons of cumin, and some families may use a different spice. So for all the traditional dishes, you may find different recipes according to what people like, according to their taste, or according to their family tradition. Now the sauce is bubbly, nicely coming together. You begin to smell all those nice flavors, and I'm going to add the meat. So there's 2 or 2.5 pounds of meat. I'm going to mix all the ingredients together and let the meat absorb some of those flavors before adding the water. So we're going to check on the meat, and I think it's nicely bubbly. Just give it a nice stir. It should be juicy and not dry because it's cooking with so much sauce, and that's exactly what we want. The dish has to have some sauce. It shouldn't come out too dry. So I just poured 2.5 cups into the pan, and now the water is covering all the meat, and now we're going to let it cook at medium-low for about 1 hour to 1 hour and 15 minutes. While the meat is cooking, we're going to cook the couscous. The camounia is usually served over a bowl of couscous. Now some people like myself love to eat it with bread too. Bread can be any kind of bread, usually baguette, but also the challah bread that we cook for Shabbat. So for the couscous, this is about 1 pound of couscous. Couscous is a kind of pasta. So I'm going to add 4 tablespoons of olive oil, 2 more, 3, and 4. Then I'm going to add about half a teaspoon of salt, and I'm going to mix everything up. The oil helps the grains of the couscous not stick too much to each other, it also adds a lot of flavor to the couscous. So you just want to give it a nice stir. So I'm going to pour boiling hot water, and that's the more modern way of cooking couscous. Pour the boiling hot water and basically cover the couscous with the water. It's okay if it's a little more or a little less. That should be plenty. So I just give it another stir, mix up all the ingredients again. And now what I need to do is just to cover the couscous and let the heat from the steam cook it. That's it, we're all set. The couscous is going to be cooked and ready in about 5 to 7 minutes. So we're about halfway through the meat cooking. As you can see, there's a lot of liquid, and everything is bubbling nicely and cooking. And we're going to give it a stir and let it cook for about 30 more minutes. So it's bubbling, the meat is cooked, and now we're going to add the beans and give it a stir and let it cook for about 15 more minutes. So there's 2 cans of 15 ounces of beans, regular pinto beans. And while I fluff the couscous, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my life in Tunisia. So the couscous is now ready, it's cooked. All we need to do is open it. Gets more fluffy, so we just use a regular spoon and we use the spoon to separate the grains, and we have to make sure that we get to the bottom, the very bottom of the bowl, so all the grains are nice and open. I was born in Tunis, and Tunisia is a beautiful country where people are extremely warm and welcoming. And I grew up being very lucky to be in a country where there were a lot of different people from different cultures and different religions. So I grew up with a lot of Jewish friends, a lot of Muslim friends, and a lot of Christian friends. And we all grew up together, respecting each other. And we just had a beautiful life in a country where the sun shines for most of the year, and where in the summer we're lucky to spend the summer at the beach and enjoy the weather and the beaches and all the good food. So now our couscous is ready. It's fluffed. As you can see, all the grains are separated. It's very simple. Doesn't take a lot of work. It cooks very quickly. And it's a wonderful dish to use for kids. It's done. So now we can set it aside. It's completely ready. I'm going to cover it to keep it warm. So it's been about an hour and 15 minutes. I'm going to check on the Camounia. So as you can see, there is a nice sauce. The meat is cooked, the beans are cooked, and all I have to do now is give it a stir, add the last ingredients just for extra flavor. So we're going to add about a clove of garlic. Again, you can try at different times and use as much or as little as you like. And also 1 extra teaspoon of cumin. So now I'm going to give it one last stir. The Camounia is ready. Usually you pour a few spoons of couscous first, and then you will just simply add the Camounia on top. The sauce went all on the side, so I'm going to try to put some in the middle. Here we go. and add maybe 1 piece of meat. And now you know how to make camounia. Enjoy on Shabbat or any other day of the week. Bon appétit!